Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Jennifer Beall from Brucemore in Cedar Rapids. Jennifer, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
You always have a lot of stuff going on at Brucemore.
Oh, yes, we are a very busy place.
But in Women's History Month, you have some special things going on. And, it wasn't until we're talking about that I thought, of course, like with everything else in history, it has largely been defined by the man.
Yes.
Howard Hall, A Man of Refrigeration, the Lions, all of that stuff. But really, the history of Brucemore is the history of the women.
It really is. It starts with Caroline Sinclair. She builds the mansion as a summer home for her and her children after her husband passes away. And then, of course, we have Irene Douglas, the, second owner, married to George Bruce Douglas, but she lived in the mansion for longer than he did and also contributed a lot to designing Brucemore as we know it today. So we really wouldn't have Brucemore as it is without Irene. And then, of course, Margaret leaving the estate to the National Trust, making it open to the public. And then, today we have primarily women working at Brucemore.
Right. And so then in association with Women's History Month, you're diving into this even more. And one of the activities that stuck out for me is if I knew, I had forgotten that there was a book bindery.
Yes.
On site.
Yes, so we do have Irene Douglas's book bindery. And this month, actually starting here in March and going through the end of May, we are featuring some of the collections items we have related to Irene Douglas's book binding, along with some work done by her friend Helen Haskell Noyes. So if you come on a tour of the mansion between now and May 31st, you're going to see some of Irene's bookbinding tools, an example of one of the books that she actually hand-bound at Brucemore in that book bindery. Then you're also going to see some vintage jigsaw puzzles made in the early 20s and 30s by Helen Haskell Noyes. And those are things that haven't been displayed in the mansion. I think this is really the first time that they're coming out for the public to see.
So what material were the puzzles made? Wood?
Yeah, they are made out of wood and they are hand cut. But unlike the puzzles we have today with, that very familiar puzzle shape with all the kind of dents and bumps that make it interlocking, her puzzles, you have to slide the pieces together, so they look like all sorts of different shapes.
So the sizes are more smooth rather than interlocking?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I actually had someone on a tour on Saturday tell me that he thought they looked like cobblestones, and I hadn't thought of that comparison before, but I think it's a really good way to kind of imagine what these puzzles are going to look like before you come see them.
And then, so the book bindery, that was just the binding the pages. Were the pages printed elsewhere?
Yeah,
how did that work?
With the way bookbinding would have worked at the time is you could order the pages through a catalog. So Irene was really focused on making the covers, but she would be hand stitching those pages into the books. She'd be dyeing the leather, cutting it, embossing it with the tools. She also marbled her own pages. So some of those pages inside the books, the end papers, as they're called, those pages that are on the inside covers.
The blank pages on either end.
They're this beautiful water marbled paper that's kind of spectacular to look at.
What were some of the books that she would have worked on?
Yes.
Are they books we would know, or?
Yes, if you are familiar with a guy named William Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard of him. Yeah. I hear he's going to be big someday.
Yeah, someday. But, Irene, kind of on the cutting edge of discovering him. Maybe not, but she did hand-bound the complete set of his works. So we have those on display in the library, but this collections feature, you'll get a close-up look at her hand-bound copy of Hamlet. We have it in a separate display case, so you can actually kind of look at it pretty closely. And then the set that you wouldn't be as familiar with is an old set of volumes, The Complete History of America, which at that point would have been done in the 1910s, so complete up until that point.
A little less history to deal with at that point.
Maybe a little bit than now, but we actually have a photo of Irene posing with those books with her friend Helen Haskell Noyes, and right now that photo is set up in the library next to where the books are stored, so you can kind of see what it looked like right when she finished them compared to what they look like now.
Well, that brings us then to how do we see these things? So tell me about the tours and activities that are going on.
So during March, we do have our special In Her Steps Women's History Tour going to be running on some Thursday evenings and then the last Saturday of the month. So you still have a few chances to come out to that. I recommend looking at our website, brucemore.org, for those details. But right now, probably the most exciting opportunity, especially if you have kids who are out of school for spring break right now, we are offering $5 spring break tours.
Nice.
Yes, so we like to say during spring break, everyone is a kid at Brucemore, so everyone can get the student rate on these tours, and it's a great chance to just come in, look around the mansion, take your time, especially if you've been there before and you're like, oh, I want to go see those puzzles, but you don't necessarily want to commit to like taking the full tour. You can come, pay $5, see the puzzles, and then enjoy the grounds if it's a nice day. But of course, if you want to take the full guided tour, and we welcome everyone to come do that, we do just have our regular guided tours that happen during the weekdays and on Saturdays and Sundays. So again, all of that information is on our website.
It's also probably coming on the Nooks and Crannies season,
Yes.
which is my favorite tour.
Yes, Nooks and Crannies tickets did recently go on sale, and that is our most popular tour. So definitely recommend getting those in advance. And that is a tour where you get to see inside all of the nooks and crannies of the mansion. It's the only tour where you get to go to the attic, and also the only tour where you get to hear the rainstorm in the Tahitian room.
That's right, and see how they make that happen.
Yes.
And you're also, speaking of the Tahitian room, you've also, my other favorite thing, in addition to Nooks and Crannies, is a good cocktail. And I know that you've got something going on with that, too.
Yes, so last year in November, we introduced a new series called Mansion Mixers, which the goal is really to give adults a casual way to come enjoy a little bit of history, enjoy a drink, maybe get to do some games and hands-on activities. So, and that presentation does take place in your favorite room, the Tahitian room. So we have one coming up on March 20th with the presentation by our curator, Jessica. She's going to be talking about Helen Haskell Noyes. The presentation is called Puzzles and Poltergeists, because Helen, as we mentioned, made puzzles, but she was also pretty connected to the spiritualism movement of the early 20th century and published a book in which she published her conversations with the spirits. So Jessica is going to talk about that for a bit.
Wow. So a lot of things going on.
Yes.
And around spring break, but stuff for families with kids, but
Yep.
also for just adults, too.
Yes, we try to hit all age ranges, give something for everybody to enjoy.
Well, we've hit a lot of stuff, so the best way to make note of any of these things that you want to do is probably to visit the website.
Yes, brucemore.org. Up in the menu, you will find information on all of the tours. You can also give us a follow on Facebook. I do make sure to update that regularly, so you will find information about all of our upcoming events there.
All right. Again, brucemore.org, or find Brucemore on Facebook if you'd like more information. Jennifer, come back in a month or so, and we'll talk about late spring and early summer activities.
Yes, we will have a lot going on in the summer, so would love to be back and talk to you about that then.
Thanks. Great to see you.
Thanks, Dennis.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.